Hey, this is Dr. Havey with the Health and Wellness Institute, and I want to thank you for being here. I wanted to just put together this video to give you an update about some things that are happening around the Midwest. And in particular, we are experiencing a drought of sorts here because the weather has been over 100 degrees for almost 2 weeks, and we've had basically no rain at all. And many communities have implemented a no watering policy. So the question had come up, well, why is that needed? Isn't there an endless supply of water? I mean, the earth is covered, 70% of it is covered with water. So why do we need to cut back on water? Well, I'd like to show you some statistics about where the water is used, a good portion of water is used, and how there is another way that we could actually cut back on our water use indirectly by making some dietary changes. But take a look at these statistics and you will see what I'm talking about and how making these changes can provide quite a positive benefit to your health as well as to the health of the environment and our water supply. Take a look.
So, although we may take it for granted that we always have enough water, when we do experience a drought like this and are told to cut back on our use, you've got to wonder, what is it that needs our water more than we do? And the answer, in a word, is cattle. And the statistics are just mind-boggling. For instance, consider this. The water consumption that is needed to produce just 10 pounds of steak equals the water consumption of the average household for an entire year. And how much is that exactly? 120,000 gallons. As you can see here, relative to other foods, beef is light years beyond the same quantity of food in terms of water needs, 200 times as much needed as potatoes to be exact, and no doubt potatoes are a better source of nutrition too. And according to the National Corn Growers Association, about 80% of the 80 million acres of corn grown is being used for animal feed. Overall, there are roughly 200 million acres of farmland used to grow 3 crops that are fed to cattle: corn, alfalfa, and soybeans. And to put that in perspective, the top 10 vegetables in the U.S. are grown on about 1 million acres. As a side note, astonishingly, the average cow produces between 18,000 and 21,000 pounds of milk in her lifetime, and many as high as 35,000 pounds. That is definitely indicative of the massive amounts of water that each cow must be consuming in order to produce that quantity of milk. In another example, the state of Montana has reported that about 97.5% of their water use is for some form of livestock production, that would be cattle. And overall, for the 11 western states in the U.S., a reported 70% of the water used is dedicated to the raising of animals for food. So while you and I and everybody else cut back on our water use during these periods of dry, hot weather to conserve water, the cattle industry goes right on consuming these massive amounts of water. And why is that? To keep up with this huge demand of these many beef products like hamburgers and steaks and even milk. And since all animal-derived foods are actually implicated in the most common illnesses and diseases like heart disease, colon cancer, breast cancer, and prostate cancer, then you can see how it starts to make a lot of sense that we stop consuming so many of those foods. So let me ask you this. Wouldn't it be easier and more beneficial for everyone if we all just cut back on our meat consumption? Imagine if you and every person just cut back on meat consumption by 10 pounds a year. And let's calculate that at 120,000 gallons of water for those 10 pounds of meat times, let's just say 200 million meat eaters conservatively out of the 300 million people in the country. And that would equal 24 trillion gallons alone, just by that calculation and cutting back that much. That impact would solve our water crisis now and in the future. Now, look, I'm not trying to tell you what you should or shouldn't be eating, but I'd like you to see the facts surrounding the issue so you can make an informed decision. And it's my hope that you will understand and conclude that this is the best start to solving what is a major problem, and it will potentially solve many other problems, as you will see. And two of the many upsides for you and everybody who takes this action, You can eat more foods while consuming less calories when you choose those plant-based foods like fruits and vegetables over animal-based foods. And you will also see an exponential improvement in your health and wellness because you're reducing those not so nutritious foods while you're adding the highly nutritious ones. If you go looking, you can find hundreds of books and thousands of studies and even more testimonials on the enormous benefits that come from cutting back or even eliminating animal-based foods. And I'll even give you plenty of those references in a few minutes. And remember, even with all the health benefits you will notice, of course you're going to be helping conserve water, and that's our biggest issue here. So I'm asking that you learn the truth about what is responsible for our increase in heart disease and cancers and even our soaring healthcare costs, and even why other nations have a starvation problem or even a lack of getting proper amounts of food. And I'd like to give you HWi's Insider Health Report, which is 10 life-saving reasons to avoid meat and dairy. And this report will explain how your family's health and wellness and survival are affected by those foods, and how together we can fix the global health crisis that we currently face. So here's the conclusion. It takes an enormous amount of water and an enormous amount of grains to create a very small quantity of meat. And you are one of many people who are waking up to the truth about how the cattle industry is consuming way too many of our natural resources, most notably water and land. Here's what I'd like to send you. First, the latest research that shows the cause of our worst illnesses and diseases. And secondly, the HWi Health Report, 10 life-saving reasons to avoid meat and dairy. And thirdly, as a bonus, the details on what are and where to get the 25 most powerful antioxidant foods will surely provide a big boost to your health. So just visit hwii.org and that will show you where to fill in your info so you can start making use of this information to improve your health and wellness. This is Dr. Havey and I hope to see you soon. Thanks for watching.